Welcome, you're watching David the Real Medvine, and this is a video on the paradox of intolerance posited by Karl Popper. Karl Popper is a Jewish philosopher, so you don't have to hit that Wikipedia early life section. I got you covered, boys. He's a Jewish philosopher who's a proponent of the open society. And this is a comic that describes the paradox of tolerance. Now, a lot of you, I assume, have seen this comic, and I'll still read through this if you haven't seen it. But this has been making rounds on the internet, and I've kind of gotten annoyed because the argument is really bad. It's a really bad argument. It's always posted by the extreme left liberals, and they cite it to say, oh, we can be tolerant, we can call ourselves tolerant while, basically advocating for the murder of or political enemies or whatnot. And so I will be reading the comic, and then I'll be giving two of my critiques, and I'll finish the video here. So hopefully this ends up being a short one. But The Paradox of Intolerance by philosopher Karl Popper. Should a tolerant society tolerate intolerance? The answer is no. It's a paradox, but unlimited tolerance can lead to the extinction of tolerance. When we extend tolerance to those who are openly intolerant, the tolerant ones end up being destroyed and tolerance with them. Any movement that preaches intolerance and persecution must be outside of the law, right? So it has to be illegal to basically be able to preach such beliefs. As paradoxical as it may seem, defending tolerance requires to not tolerate the intolerant. This is from Karl Popper's The Open Society and Its Enemies, right? So promotion of the open society and all that stuff. This is what Karl Popper is about. Now, let's get to two main reasons why this does not make any sense. Number one reason is that Karl Popper here is doing the classical move. And that classical move is naming contradictions as paradoxes. This is not a paradox, this is a contradiction. A paradox will be something like trying to explain language by using language. You might say, how is that paradoxical? Well, it's paradoxical because it's circular, right? Because, if someone asks you, can you explain to me the meaning of language? You have to use language. That is to say, you have to use the thing in question to prove the thing in question and that it has meaning. That's paradoxical, you could say. Zugzwang, I will say, is paradoxical in chess. Those who play chess might know, but a Zugzwang is basically a move that whatever move you make in that specific position that is named Zugzwang is going to be a game-losing move for you, right? And it's not like it's not the same as a forced move. It's something else. But seeing that the purpose of chess is to make moves to win, in this scenario, if you hadn't make a move, you will be like if you had the option to pass a turn, for example, you will be better off, right? But you're making a move and you lose. But the purpose of making moves in chess is to win. That's paradoxical, you might say. This is a contradiction because it refutes the whole point of what tolerance is. Tolerance, I think a lot of us have a good idea of what tolerance is. Being accepting and respecting other beliefs and people of other beliefs as well. But mainly respecting and accepting different beliefs, basically, that run contrary to our own. Will be one of the good ways to explain what tolerance is. There's multiple different ways to explain, but you get the idea of what it is. I don't have to tell you what tolerance is. But it runs contrary to that, right? Because now you have become the very thing you have opposed in the first place. And it's logically inconsistent. A second issue with this is that it runs to a question of application. So how do we know what tolerance is? How do we know that something is intolerant or tolerant, right? Let's say that, for example, we run the open society and I'm Karl Popper's advisor. I got my own 3-decker mansion. I got my harem of wives, and every day I go to office with Karl Popper and we sit and we play Smash Brothers, and then we talk about politics stuff. And then I asked Karl Popper one day, well, Mr. Popper, as you can see, there's intolerance in this world, and this goes contrary to the open society, right? And even in this country, so we have to start with our own country. And in our country, we have intolerant groups of people. So which group should we go after and make illegal, for example? We should make, Popper says that these movements that preaches intolerance, they should be outside of the law, right? So which one of these movements should we make illegal? So Popper will think, well, I got an easy one. Let's ban Nazis, right? Nazis are intolerant, and everyone agrees, right? We ban Nazis. All right, cool. And any Nazi, I guess we throw them in jail, or maybe we don't have enough money, so maybe we throw them in the river and they die or whatever. And then we meet up again. We play Smash Brothers. I beat him as King DDD, and then I ask him again the question, Mr. Popper, there is still intolerance in this world. What should we do about it, right? Who should we go after next? And Karl Popper will think, well, let's go after the communists, right? And so we get after communists, and then there's some people, and we have to get rid of people even in our own cabinet, because they are communists and they're open about it, and they say, oh, but communism is tolerant. And Popper said, no, it isn't. Go to jail, and they go to jail, or some of them they end up being Hillary Clinton. Then we sit together, the same routine. Who should we get rid of next? Well, this time let's get rid of Muslims, right? Let's get rid of Muslims because they have intolerant beliefs in their religion. And in fact, there are many comics that are a different version of this that's attacking Islam. And now there people in his own council, they come up and say, wait a second, we have many Muslims in this country. We can't do this. We have to debate. We have to first make sure if it's intolerant. And so we debate in the council, is it tolerant, is it intolerant? So now you see what's going on here. The debate about Islam has shifted from whether it is true or not to now whether it is tolerant or not. So this focus on tolerance shifts goalposts. It shifts the important discussions into meaningless discussions, and it makes tolerance the arbiter of truth. And so the council, after much debate, and we talk with Islamic scholars, and we say, okay, this is not fit for the open society. We have to get rid of this. And so now we tell Muslims to convert or die, convert to open societyism, or we put them in jail or something, right? So this goes on. And what you're seeing here is that it reduces eventually itself into absurdity. And the ultimate question is, how do we determine what is tolerant or what is intolerant, right? What is the classification? Who does these things, right? And ironically, the open society, what is the open society about? It's about being against authoritarianism, right? It runs contrary to authoritarianism. Yet in order to apply this, you have to be authoritarian yourself. Well, you have to be. Exactly. And another thing that I want to say is that, where do we stop? I will say, for example, if you want to be logical, the logical conclusion of that, for example, will be, let's say, again, we play Smash Bros with Karl Popper, and then I have a conversation with him, and I ask him, I met this guy on the street, and he was very interesting. And Popper asks, what was interesting about him? And I think there's someone in the woods. Someone near my house, I think. I don't know. It's nighttime. Monsters might come and attack me. Nothing's going to happen. I'm just kidding. But anyways, what I was getting at is that I have another talk with Karl Popper, and I ask him, this guy on the street, he told me that he has this belief system. And he says to me that his beliefs, he respects me as a person, that he thinks that I'm a great person, and he was thankful that he talked with me. But he says, well, with all due respect, Mr. David, I believe your belief system is wrong. I don't think your belief system is the correct one. I think mine is the true one, right? I believe that there's truth, and that my belief system is the truth belief system. And then I bring this up to Karl Popper, and I say, well, Mr. Popper, he says that his belief system is true, and the other ones that run contrary to his are wrong. Is he not being intolerant of other belief systems? He's basically saying they're all wrong, that they are all not true. So he's kind of implying that they are worthless, Because if they're not true, then they don't have any worth, right? Falsehood doesn't have any worth. So what do we do with this guy? And if Karl Popper was logically consistent, he will say, put this guy in jail. If it was logically inconsistent, oh, leave him alone. He doesn't harm anyone. And what I'm getting at is that, I mean, we should even go to the questions such as, is the idea that there is truth and there's falsehood and there are belief systems that are false and belief systems that are true, is that idea itself tolerant, or is that an intolerant idea? Because you are being intolerant to other different systems, political systems. It can be political beliefs, it can be religious beliefs, right? It could be philosophical beliefs. Sometimes it could be just a combination of all those three things. And that's what I'm essentially getting at, is that tolerance, in its logical conclusion, just ends up being a war against truth. And truth itself, by its definition, is intolerant. It's intolerant against falsehood because it defines anything that is not truth, that is not me, is not me. It's not part of me, it's not a group, it's not in grouping with me, it's different from me. It's separate from me, it's not me. And that's mighty intolerant. So these are the two reasons why I will say the paradox of intolerance does not make any sense. And in fact, tolerance itself is not a virtue. It's in reverse. It's a vice. It's a sin, in fact. Now, what does being intolerant mean, right? People know what tolerance means, but they don't know what being intolerant means. Now, you can be intolerant of belief systems, yet be tolerant of the people promoting those belief systems. So, for example, you can be tolerant towards a Muslim. You can say, well, I think your religion is wrong. I think you preach falsehood, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to cut your head off, right? I'm not going to do that. I still respect you as a person, and I respect your free will as a person, that you're going to come to the truth. You could say, and this can go to any other people of any different belief system, right? It's not saying, oh, okay, you believe in something different than I do, okay, off to jail with you, right? That's intolerance. And as I mentioned before, and I want to summarize this video to close it out, is that the paradox of intolerance, or a tolerance paradox, is not a paradox, it's a contradiction, because it goes contrary against what it is promoting in the first place. And today we're seeing this here. I mean, the tolerant left, right? That's a popular thing. Oh, the supposedly tolerant left, but look at them, they're so intolerant. No, that's the logical conclusion of tolerance in the first place. In order to defend it, they have to be intolerant. They have to be anything but tolerant, basically. That's essentially what's happening. And you see this with tech companies, right? They're trying to defend the open society that we're in. And a word on the open society, Bergson, this is from Wikipedia describing what open society is. Bergson, right? It was coined by Henry Bergson. Henry Bergson describes that a closed society, it's in contrast with the open society. A closed society is a closed system of law or religion, right? So a religious system, a religious society is a closed society, right? A secular society is an open society. But what we see here is that it's just word games, because the open society is just as closed as the religious society, because it's persecuting by design the closed society that it itself terms, right? So it itself is a closed society. It's of a closed mind. So there is no open society. Open society does not exist. It's a non-existent thing. Whereas really the open society is just an authoritarian closed society, and that's what we're seeing today with tech companies, with political groups, and with just the Western world in general is just becoming more and more closed as it claims to be more and more open. And so this is what we have to get away with this, is that tolerance is a vice, and tolerance is really just intolerance in a different form. It's in a different form where it lies to you. It's a different form that does not exist. It's a lie, and it's a weapon, right? And many things similar to, I mean, if you don't even know what tolerance is, it's such a vague thing to describe. I mean, is this system tolerant? Is Islam tolerant? Is religion, is Christianity tolerant, right? I mean, eventually what it means is that anything that is not my belief system is not a tolerant system, and that itself is very intolerant. And you see how this contradiction is applied in so many different levels that the moment we start thinking about it, we we start to get a headache from it, right? So this is all I want to say about this. I would like to thank you all for watching this. This has been David the Real Medvite. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe. If you want to be my pay piggy, give me money on Patreon. They're all in the link. They're all linked in the description below. If you have money problems, then I don't want your money. Keep it to yourself. But if you don't have any money problems and you want to support me, that's fine. That's good. And yeah, like and share this video if you want other people to watch it. And I will see you guys in the next video. God be with you all. Thank you. See you in the next video.